Good day, everyone. This is lesson number 2 of Learning TradeStation. My name is Jesus Nava. I'm the Director of Client Training and Education here at TradeStation. And as yesterday, it is a pleasure to be here with all of you. Learning TradeStation is an educational program that is designed to help you take full advantage of all the functionality in TradeStation. The series is made up of 12 unique lessons. We have a lot of content to cover. And the idea here is to pack as much information as we can so that you can review it at a later time and become familiarized with all the functionality. This is our schedule. Today is January 13th. We're doing lesson number 2. Every lesson does require its own registration, so make sure that you check out the calendar if you want to attend any of these topics. All the lessons are going to be recorded and are going to be uploaded to our on-demand webcasts section of our website. Let me share with everyone that link. In the chat, there it is. So if you want to watch a recorded version of this class, just make sure to save that link and it'll take you directly to that page. I see that some of you have already started using the chat window. The chat window is there for you to make any comments or submit any questions about the class. Once in a while, I'll look over the chat window to see if I can answer some of those questions live. Let's take a look at the topics that we're going to cover today. Those are available in the PDF that's available in the Documents section of this player. If you haven't downloaded the PDF, it's available right here, right there in the corner at the bottom right. Click on that folder and you have access to lesson number 2 PDF. The topics for today, as you can see on the top of that PDF, page 1, we're going to talk about the order bar, how to track orders and positions in the Trade Manager, how to track positions in the position graph bar. We're going to talk about account orders and positions in charting. So this is a class where we create a custom OCO or a custom OSO. Maybe a little bit of an advanced topic for a lot of you. Maybe you're not, you don't use OCO or OSO functionality that much, but maybe it'll open up your eyes to something that it's rather new. So it's interesting functionality, and I'll go over a very specific example on how to create a custom OCO to see if it's something that you could use going forward. We'll talk about advanced order features, a lot of check boxes and settings that you can turn on the order bar, and understand how orders behave when you turn on these features. And last, we'll look at some preferences when it comes to order entry and how you can change the behavior of some orders. So we have our hands pretty much full for the next 90 minutes. We're going to try to squeeze all this information in 90 minutes, and hopefully we can make this class interactive where you can submit questions if you have any questions related to the content that I'm covering. I do have some important information to share with everyone. The following presentation is for educational purposes only. So if I mention any symbols or any trading ideas, these are for demonstration purposes and are not recommendations. The presentation is not an offer or solicitation of business. Active trading is not suitable for everyone. And for more information about the risks that are associated with online trading, take a look at the PDF handout that is available in the Documents folder titled Important Disclosures. I've made those links available also in the chat if you wanted to read a little bit more about our disclosure statements. Okay, let's get started. Let me switch over to my TradeStation platform. Yesterday, I showed you how to remove the order bar and the position graph bar on top. These are bars that can be X'd out. So if you did X them out on your platform, you can bring them back going to the View menu and then click in Order Bar, View menu, and then click in Position Graph Bar. Yesterday, I provided a brief introduction of the order bar, and I did say that the order bar is more like a manual order entry facility. It does require you to go to each one of the boxes, provide information about the order before you can actually click on buy or sell or sell short or buy the cover. So it does take some time and some clicking around in order to set up your order. TradeStation offers other order entry tools that are a little bit more efficient. Not to take anything away from the order bar because it's a great way to place orders, but if you're interested in a faster way to place orders, we have other mechanisms that you can use, other tools that we can use, and those are covered in tomorrow's class. So tomorrow, lesson 3, we talk about those additional order entry mechanisms like chart trading, matrix, which provide you a one-click order entry um, methodology. But we are going to go over the order bar because it does provide you the foundation to understand order entry and all the functionality that has been implemented in TradeStation to help you send these orders. Okay. As you can see on the order bar, the one that's displayed on the screen, the order bar is divided in 4 tabs: equities, options, futures, and forex. If you are connected to the trading simulator, you have access to trading all the asset classes. Okay, so you have a trading simulator for each one of those asset classes. Of course, when you go to a live trading environment, only your funded account is the one that is going to be accessible for trading. But if you want to practice trading an asset that you don't have an account for, let's say that you're an equities trader, stock trader, but you want to practice some trading on currencies or futures, you can do that on the trading simulator because those simulated accounts are available. So it is important that depending on the asset class you're going to trade, you click on that tab on the left-hand side. You're going to see that the information that you see right below here in TradeStation platform, right here on the status bar, the information that is there reflects the account that is active on the order bar. So here at the bottom of my TradeStation, I see that my buying power is about 19 million. Of course, I've maxed out my simulated account funds. That's just simulated money. But if I switch over to my futures account, for example, you can see how the buying power changes. So if at any time when you're using TradeStation, you look down below and the numbers don't match what you have seen before, it's probably because you are in a different tab here on the order bar. Okay, so keep that in mind when it comes to the numbers that show up down there in the status bar. Okay, William, if you want to sign up for lesson number 3, let me share the calendar link with everyone. We have a lot of links in here in the documents folder. One of the links is the registration. Hopefully it's this one. The TradeStation webcasts. If you go there, you go to the calendar and you have all the Learning TradeStation series in there, and you'll have to register for each one. So there's a separate login link for each one. So if you received an email with a login link, don't assume that that link will work for every lesson. Every lesson has its own different link. Okay. The order bar. If you're looking at the PDF, and you look at the main screenshot there on page 1, the order bar is divided in 3 different rows. If you see there, the first row of boxes and buttons, which is right here on top, it's called the order information fields. So those are the ones that you're going to use to supply information about your order. The row under that, the one that has the blue and the red buttons, these are the order placement buttons. So once you have provided the information about your order, you come here to the second row of buttons to execute your order. And then the third row, we have some market information and order information fields. That's a way that the PDF divides the order bar so that you have an idea of where to look for if you're, having some difficulty finding a specific button. So let's go ahead and talk about what buttons and what fields are available here. First, the symbol. The symbol is very straightforward. This is providing the symbol that you want to trade. In this case, I have Apple in there, AAPL, but it's just a matter of clicking inside and changing the symbol to something different if you want to trade a different stock. So I can just type in Microsoft, and now Microsoft is displayed right there on top. A nice feature of the order bar is that these market information buttons that I'm pointing to, provide you a real-time quote of whatever symbol you have in the symbol box. So since I type in Microsoft, I know that Microsoft has been bid at 53.82. The last traded price is 53.82. That's why the L is there. And the A stands for ask. So the asking price is 53.84, and you can see how these numbers update in real time. So if you have subscribed to the data package of a particular exchange, those buttons will display a real-time quote. If you don't have a real-time subscription, a lot of the markets provide delayed data. So the delay can be anywhere between 10 and 30 minutes, depending on the exchange that is supplying this data. But it's interesting that without me even bringing up a chart, without me looking at any quote information, I can just type in a symbol inside the order bar and it provides me real-time quotes at the bottom. These buttons also become very convenient when it comes to filling in the price for your order. So if you want to place an order at the bid, you click on this bid price, and this sends whatever price is displayed in the button inside the limit price button. The limit price field. It doesn't place the order. This is just filling in the price. So it quickly fills in the price for you. If you want to, instead of the bid price, you want to use the ask, just click on the ask, and it sends whatever price is in the button up in the limit price field. Okay, let's talk about some other buttons here. You do have a magnifying glass button next to the symbol field. It allows you to do symbol lookups. Sometimes it's hard to remember the symbols that we want to trade. We may know the corporation that stands behind the acronym, but sometimes we forget what is the symbol for this particular company. If you don't remember, just click on the magnifying glass. It takes you to the symbol lookup, and you can search for description. I'll provide you one example. Let's say you're looking for American Express. You type in the description of the company, click on lookup. It goes to the data server and it finds that American Express, the symbol is AXB. You can click on the symbol from here, click OK. AXB goes into the symbol box, and then you have the real-time quote, and you can see that American Express is trading at $63.56. For equities and options, not for futures, not for Forex, the feature that I'm going to talk about is only for equities and options. I do know that we have a mixture of different asset classes in this class. In fact, let me see if I find a poll that I have here. There we go. I want to make it anonymous, the multiple choice, and I'm going to share the results with everyone. So let's start this poll right here. Just respond, click on the actual checkbox of the asset class that you trade. You can select multiple answers if you want, but it'll give you an idea of the composition of this class. We have about 80 people attending this class, and you can see what the majority of the class is trading. All right, so we do have a majority, because it's over or close to the 50%, are trading stocks and stock options. So we have about 30% futures and we have about a 15% Forex. So it's interesting that the majority of you trade stocks and options. And equities and options are two of the tabs on the order bar that provide you with the most functionality because ECNs and market makers provide other settings that are available in the advanced section of the order bar that we're going to talk about a little bit. But I am going to talk about futures and Forex, so don't feel that you're going to be left out. I'll point out the differences in the order bar and how one asset class differs from the other. Thank you everyone for participating. All right, so I was going to say that this particular feature is only available for equities and options. And it's this little button that has a pound sign on it, or a number pound sign. You find it also here in the options tab next to the magnifying glass. You have that pound. Because as an equities trader, you have the ability to express your quantity as a number of shares or number of contracts, or you can do it as a dollar amount. So it's a convenient way of expressing what you want your investment to be. If you click on that pound sign, you're going to see how it changes to a dollar sign, where you can say, or you can supply a dollar amount to the order bar. The default amount there is 10,000, which means that you're technically telling TradeStation to invest $10,000 worth of American Express. TradeStation will do the calculation, and it will provide you with a number of shares. It will not be an odd number of shares. It'll always round it up. It'll round it down to the nearest even lot. And we know for equities, an even lot represents 100 shares. So that's what it'll do. It'll round it down to the nearest even lot. If you do want an odd lot, let's say, for example, you want an odd lot, just keep the quantity as a number, and you can say, I want to buy, 72 shares of American Express, and that's the way that you establish a position with an odd number of shares. Because remember that when using a dollar amount, TradeStation will always round it down to the nearest even lot. And if it cannot round it down, it'll give you some sort of an error saying invalid quantity. But it's really interesting that you can express your size as a dollar amount instead of number of shares and number of contracts. So keep that in mind. Nayan, I see your question about resetting the amounts in the simulated account. The simulated accounts come with a default, account balance. And yes, those amounts can be reset and changed. And it's a good question because sometimes you are on the simulator, and on the simulator you want to be able to mimic your live account as much as you can, especially to work with the restrictions you have in your live account. It's very unrealistic, in my personal experience, to have an account balance right here on my equities account of $19 million of buying power. That's a lot of capital. But a lot of the accounts that we hold at TradeStation may not have that much money. So by reducing your account balance to something more realistic, then you can work under the restrictions of your live account and make it very similar to your live account. How do you change those balances? You go to the File menu and you click on Manage Simulated Accounts. When you go to Manage Simulated Accounts, let's click here. It'll open up a web page. So you do have to come here. Let me show it to you. Because it'll take you to the TradeStation Client Center where you're going to have to enter your username and password. Okay, once you enter the username and password, you can do a lot of things to those simulated accounts. You can add funds, you can reset the account balances, you can reset the trading activity. So let's say that you've played around with a simulator and you want to start off with a blank canvas. You can come here, reset the account balances, reset all the trading activity, and you start from scratch. So there it is. That functionality is on the File menu, and it says Manage Simulated Accounts. And Richard, your question about rounding down to the nearest, or to the round down to an even, round down to an even number of shares, that only applies to quantity as a dollar amount. So when you do a specific number of shares, it's that number of shares that that are being traded. Next to the quantity, by the way, you have these spinners, little directional arrows that allow you to increase and decrease the quantity very quickly. All right. To the right of the quantity, you see a letter P. In my case, is grayed out. In your case, it may be grayed out, it may not. The P only comes active if you have an open position on the symbol that you have in the symbol box. I don't have any open positions in this account. I don't have a position on American Express, and that's why the P is grayed out. P stands for position. If you have a position, it'll come live to you. What does the P do? Well, if you click on the P, the quantity is automatically populated with the number of shares that you own on that symbol. So sometimes if you go in and out of a position, especially if you scale in and you scale out, at a certain point, you may have forgotten the exact number of shares that you own. So by clicking on the P, it will automatically populate the quantity that you own for that specific symbol. William, your question about setting defaults, yes, it can be changed. You saw that the dollar amount or the default dollar amount in my order bar was 10,000, and it is the default amount when you install TradeStation the first time, but those defaults can be changed. If you want to change them, just right-click anywhere where you find an empty space on the order bar, on the gray, just right-click on the gray, and go to Order Entry Preferences. We're going to come back here later, but I wanted to show you where you can set those defaults. You see in the Order Entry Preferences is divided by asset class, so every asset class has its own default settings. If you trade equities, just click on the trading category for equities, and this is where you set the defaults. So quantity is right here. The fixed shares is 500, that's the default. But if you trade dollars per trade, just select that option and change the dollar amount here. That will change the defaults for your order bar. Okay, let's go ahead and send a market order on American Express as an example. To send a market order, we're going to skip the limit price and the stop price boxes. We're going to come here to the order type, and order type provides you with all the types of orders that are available on the order bar. These are the same types of orders for all asset classes. So the fact that I'm on equities or on the equities tab doesn't mean that this doesn't apply to futures and Forex, because it does. We have the same order types for futures and Forex. If I want to set or send a market order, I just select market here. You can see how the limit price and the stop price boxes are grayed out. And that's because a market order does not specify a price, of course. We do have a route. This is something that is not available for futures and Forex, because all orders are sent to the exchange directly for execution. For equities and options, you do have the option to select what market maker and what ECN you want to handle your order. For the most part, we're going to be using Intelligent, which is the default option here. Intelligent is a proprietary technology that exists on the TradeStation server that looks at all the attributes of your order and will pick the best route for you, depending on the type of order you're sending. Now, if you understand and you know that you would receive a certain advantage by selecting one of these routes, feel free to select them. That's why there's a drop-down for you to select them. You don't need to understand them all. We're not going to spend time here explaining the differences between them, but if you do know a specific example that would give you a benefit, please do so. But for the most part, Intelligent is the one that is there by default, and that's the one that most of us use. TradeStation will use its technology to route your order to the best venue. Duration, we do have certain durations here. Remember that this is the example that we're talking about is a market order. By default, all orders are day orders. Of course, the duration doesn't matter on a market order because it's going to get filled immediately, but now that we're here on duration, let me just provide you with certain details. A day order is an order that is active just for the current trading day. Once the session's over, the order is canceled. If you want an order to remain active for several days, there's other durations that you can select. One of them is GTC, good till cancel. Another one is GTD, which is good till date. So if you select GTD, which is good till date, it'll actually prompt you to select the date when you want the order to be canceled. So let's say today is Tuesday, you want to send an order, but you only want that order to be active until Friday. You come here to GTD, click on the little calendar, and say, I want that order canceled on Friday, or be active until Friday. So at the end of the session on Friday, your order will be canceled if it's not filled. Interesting functionality. If I go here to the drop-down, we have other durations that are grayed out, like IOC, FOK. If you see a duration that is grayed out, it's because it doesn't apply to the type of order that you're sending. So it has nothing to do with permissions or TradeStation restricting that type of order. It all depends on some of the selections that you make on the order bar. See, since I'm selecting a market order, a lot of these durations don't apply and TradeStation will gray them out. IOC is a type of duration that stands for instant or cancel. An order that goes to the market, if it doesn't find what it's looking for, it'll cancel it immediately. Very similar to FOK, which stands for fill or kill. By the way, the durations that I'm talking about are explained in the help topics. I thought I had provided an explanation in the PDF, but they're not there. But if you wish to learn more about the durations, you can go to the help topics and search for duration of an order. FOK, I will say that it's very similar to IOC. It stands for fill or kill. If your order goes to the market and it doesn't find what it's looking for, it'll kill the order. The only difference between IOC and FOK, and this is a very small difference, is that instant or cancel allows partial fills. That's the only difference. So if you send an order for 1,000 shares and it only finds 500, it'll fill you on the 500 and the remaining 500 are going to be canceled. Opposite of FOK, which looks to fill you on the entire order. If it doesn't find the entire quantity, it's just going to cancel the order. So fill or kill forces the order to find the whole quantity. David has a very interesting question. He asks, once the order is placed, how long does TradeStation hold the order before the order is sent to the market? David, there's no hold. We provide direct access to the exchanges. There is a TradeStation server that pretty much you have to go through in order to connect to the exchange, but there's no hold whatsoever. Once you submit an order through your platform, that order just gets routed through our server and directly to the exchange without any delay. Richard, if you pick a route, all orders are going to be routed to that exchange. That's a question from Richard. Correct. If you select a route here and you say, let's say that I want to use night as my route, all your orders are going to be sent through night, unless you come here and change it back to intelligent, which can be, routed on any exchange that is available on the order execution network. Okay, let me change my duration today. By the way, for equities and options, I'm sorry, not for options, for equities only. Let me see duration. Yeah, not for options. For equities, there's an option to select a duration that has a plus to the right of it. I'm not sure if you see those durations that have a plus sign to the right. Those are extended hours. The equities is one of the few asset classes that are traded outside the regular session. Regular session for stocks is 9:30 to 4. But if you wanted to trade American Express at 9 in the morning or 8 in the morning Eastern, you could do that by sending a duration, right, by setting your duration to plus, which means extended hours. You're trading stocks pre-market and post-market. So those durations are only applicable when you're trading outside the regular session. If all your trading happens between 9:30 and 4, then you don't have to worry about the plus sign because it doesn't apply. It only applies if you're trading on extended hours. Trish, I see your question about rebates, if TradeStation provides rebates on certain routes. It's an interesting question, and I know that there is some flexibility when it comes to commissions and discounts and volume. You know, it all depends on volume. How many shares and how many orders are you sending through a specific route? I would ask you to contact the trade desk or your account representative to find out more information about that, because I know some discounts do exist. I do know that it's based on volume and how much volume you're routing through a specific venue, but that's information that the trade desk or your account representative can provide you. Phil asks a question about the matrix, the default duration for the matrix. Yes, the default duration on all order entry in TradeStation, I believe it's a day order. So if the order doesn't get filled on that day, it gets canceled. So if you do want your orders to remain active for several days, just make sure you change that duration to GTC, which is good till cancel. And Barbara asks a question, is there a fee or an additional fee if you route your order to a specific exchange? Again, we can, I encourage you to contact the trade desk and ask them. They are the ones who have the most up-to-date information when it comes to fees if you route to a specific exchange. I believe our website provides some information as well when it comes to routing to a specific exchange. So I do ask that if you would like to know if there's any fees, go to the website. If that doesn't work, contact the trade desk or your account representative for information. Let's place our order. I'm going to change my order duration today. I have a drop down here on the right that allows me to select the account that I want to trade. If you are a TradeStation user that has funded multiple accounts in one asset class, because you could have, you know, your individual account, and then you have a joint account with your spouse or trading partner, or you may have an IRA account. All these accounts are going to be listed in this drop-down. So depending on which one you want to trade, just select that account. I only have one here. For simulated accounts, you only have one per asset class. And once we're ready to trade, this is a market order. I'm just going to establish a long position. I'm just going to click here on buy. TradeStation provides me with an order confirmation. Order confirmations are turned on by default. You always get one when you place a trade. It provides you information about what the order is. This is an order to buy 100 shares of American Express at market. It provides you with an estimated cost. I know that this is going to cost me $6,362, and my estimated commission is going to be $1 because I'm trading 100 shares. The commission depends on what plan you are subscribed to. We have a per share plan and we have a per ticket plan. So depending on which plan you selected when you opened your account, that's the commission structure that is going to be applied to your trade. If I agree with this order, I just click on yes. Order filled. I get an audible confirmation. I'm not sure if you were able to pick that up through the microphone, but I did get an audible confirmation saying order filled. A couple things happened on my order bar. You can see that there's an information bar right here where my cursor is that says and provides information about what happened to that order. We see the word filled on my simulated account, bought 100 shares of American Express at market, filled at $63.63. You also see a position graph. This bar below the order bar is called the position graph bar. So every position that you open in your account will be displayed in here. It gives you a real-time P&L of your position. It color codes your position based on losing and winning positions. Red is losing in TradeStation, the English version. And green is winning positions. Right here, I'm losing money. How much money am I losing? You can see the real-time P&L right inside the box. That negative 11, that is my real-time profit and loss. I'm losing that money. Now the plus that you see on the left-hand side of American Express, that just lets you know that this is a long position. For any position that is short, you'll see a minus to the left of it. On either side, like on the left-hand side, I see a negative 12. That is my maximum drawdown. So since I opened up this position, the maximum that it's lost is $12. The number that I see on the right is my maximum run-up. This position hasn't made any money at all since I opened it. It's $0. Seems like every single trade that I place on my TradeStation is just like that. So it's interesting that it automatically happens. It goes to the exchange, it gets filled, TradeStation receives information and displays that information on the screen. Ken asks the question, can you change your commission plans? Yes, you can. And to do that, you need to contact client services. They can do that once for the life of the account, or I'm not sure if they've changed those limits, but you can find out from client services if you wish to switch plans. And Pat makes a very interesting question. You have multiple accounts. Let's say that you are placing trades and you want those trades to be duplicated so that all your accounts have the same trade. And I don't think we provide the functionality. There are some features that are available on an institutional level. Let's say that you are some sort of a fund manager. You have multiple accounts. You're managing funds for multiple people, and you want to duplicate your trading across multiple accounts. We have some functionality on TradeStation that allows you to do that, but on an institutional level. Again, I would recommend you contact your account executive, and he can provide information on how to reach or how to contact that department to see if they can set you up with that type of account. Okay, let's go ahead and set another trade. I'm going to change my symbol here to Microsoft. I get real-time quotes. Again, for Microsoft, I'm going to send another market order, but this time it's going to be a short trade. You see that in the Equities tab, you have Buy and Sell, and Sell Short and Buy to Cover. So the two first buttons are for long trades. So you enter and exit. The other two buttons are for short trades. You enter and exit. So always make sure that you click on the right button if you want to enter a short trade. Now this is different for futures and Forex. If I go over to the Futures tab, you only have two buttons, Buy and Sell. And same for Forex. You have Buy and Sell. So it's different in futures because if you want to go short a contract, you just hit the sell button. You sell a contract. But for equities, it's split up into two sets of buttons. You have a set for long positions and you have another set for short positions. So if I want to be short Microsoft, I just click on Sell Short. I get my confirmation window, and then I click on Yes. I get a audible confirmation. I see my information bar and I see my position graph bar, which shows my Microsoft position, which is also losing money. All right, we are setting our track here. Let's talk a little bit about limit orders so you can understand how to place them. If you wanted to do a limit order, I just changed the order type to limit. That's the first step. And you change the order type to limit, and then the limit price box allows you to enter a price. Let's say that I want to change the symbol here to Facebook. So I change the symbol to Facebook, FB. I know that Facebook is trading at $98.60. The quantity, I'm just going to leave it on 500, but I want to enter a trade a little bit lower than what it's trading at right now. It's trading at $98.62. I want to change this price to maybe $98.55. Actually, it's already there. So let's go ahead and do lower than that. Let's do an order at $98.25. So we change the price to $98.25, and if you're interested in buying Facebook at $98.25, 500 shares, just click on buy. This will send a limit order at $98.25, and I say yes to the confirmation. Now, once you become familiar with order entry functionality in TradeStation, sometimes the order confirmation just gets in the way, especially if you want to get in and out really quick. If that's the case, take a look at this checkbox at the bottom that says don't show me this again for order bar and macros equity orders. This only applies to equities because there are confirmation for equities, confirmations for futures, and confirmations for Forex, and they're all disabled separately. Okay, so if I disable the confirmations here and I say yes, my order goes through. If I look at the information bar, the order was received by 500 Facebook at 98.25, and I have an order in place. How do I track that order though? In the trading apps tab right here on top, we have a tool called the Trade Manager. Now, do not confuse the Trade Manager with another button that we have here in the trading apps called the Trade Manager Analysis. That's something totally different. We're going to take a look at Trade Manager Analysis in a different lesson, but for now, we want to concentrate on this other button that is just plain Trade Manager. Let's go ahead and click on it. It opens up this window inside a workspace. But this is, let me make the font of this window different. The font here is a little small. It may be good on your personal screen, but TradeStation does allow you to change and customize the font so it's easier on your eyes. I'm going to change the font here. I'm going to format my window, go to my font, my headers, I'm going to make them bold and 10, and my displayed values, I want to make them bold and 10. I'm going to set this as a default so that every time that I open up a new Trade Manager, those changes are applied. And that looks a little bit better. In the Trade Manager, this is your control center. This is where you see everything that's happening in your account. When you first open the Trade Manager, it defaults to the Orders tab. See right here at the bottom, you have a whole sequence of tabs. The Orders tab allows you to see the sequence of all the orders that you've placed in your account. They are in chronological sequence with the most recent on top. They are also color-coded so that you get an idea which orders have been filled, which orders have not, and which orders are canceled. When you see a blue row, that's a filled order. When you see a white row, that's an active order. We don't have any other colors because no other events have happened. But we'll take a look at other colors in a little moment. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look. We do have our Facebook order. If you change your mind, let's say that you're looking at the Facebook here. This is an order to buy 500. The limit price is 98.25. We can see Facebook is moving up from the price that we entered, and we want to change that price to something closer. We can do that in different ways, and I'll show you how. Notice how there is a cancel button that lit up after we have an active order. This button was grayed out, and it may be grayed out on your platform if you don't have any active orders. I've known many TradeStation users that have called technical support because TradeStation is restricting their cancellation abilities because their cancel button is grayed out. How do we make it active? Well, the fact that it's grayed out just lets you know that there's no active orders. If it's yellow like this, it's because we have active orders in the market. Let me click on that cancel button because cancel just gives you a drop down. Now I can just straight cancel my buy 500 Facebook. But the first option is a cancel replace, which expands into a different menu. You can replace this order with a market order. With any of the auto pricing functionality, we haven't talked about any auto pricing functionality, but we'll talk about this in a little moment. But if you wanted to change your limit price, my menus go outside of the projector, so I apologize for that. But by having my cursor on top of limit price, it provides me with a list of prices that I can just choose from. So from here, I can say, I want to change my price to 98.35. It doesn't give me a lot of options. The maximum price that I see here is 98.35, which I can select. Once I clicked on it, look at my limit price. It changed to 98.35. If I go here to the cancel button, and I just canceled the order directly, the order is canceled. Take a look at my cancel button. It's grayed out. If you look at the trade manager, the row now appears yellow, which means that all canceled orders are going to display yellow inside your trade manager. When you do a market or a stop market order, let's go over here to the order type, and I do a stop market. When you do a stop market order, you have access to, I'm sorry, a stop limit. When you have a stop limit, both boxes, limit price and stop price, are available for you to enter a price. A stop limit order does work having two prices. The first price is your stop price, which is the trigger price, and then it turns your order into a limit order. And then you have the stop market, which is just a regular stop. You provide a stop price and the order goes through. Okay? There's a lot of customizing that you can do on the position graph bar. Let's talk a little bit about that. You can see that information on page 5 of the PDF, how to track positions in the position graph bar. But if you right-click on the position graph bar, and this is to answer Trish's question, if you right-click on the position graph bar, you can go to Format Position Graph Bar. Here you have access to filtering the positions. You see this is showing all accounts. You can do show me all equities and options accounts, or futures accounts, or Forex accounts. Or you can say a custom list of accounts. So Trish, to answer your question, to separate your stocks from options, you can just come here. Actually, no, equities will be the same account. So you have positions that you open today, all positions. Yeah, TradeStation seems to combine equities and options in one. I guess the only way that you can separate them is by showing just a custom list of positions where you can specify the symbols that you want to be displayed on the actual position graph bar. But here you can change the way that your P&L is displayed, the size of your position graph bars, and play around with this functionality because there's a lot of things that you can do to your position graphs. Here in the quotes tab, you can change the quotes that are provided. See, TradeStation by default provides you the indexes, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ Composite, and the S&P. So you can remove any of these indexes if you wanted to do so, or you can just add a symbol by typing the symbol in the symbol box, and then clicking on the Add button, it'll add it to the top of your position graph. If you're looking for the price, and this is based on a question from John, if you're looking for the price that you purchased one of these positions at, let's say that I'm looking at my American Express and I want to see what my entry price was, take your cursor and put it on top of the graph. It gives you this data tips window that tells you what your average price is. If you look at the third row inside that box, you can see that my average price is $63.63. That's a quick way for you to know what your entry price was. My entry price for Microsoft, I can see it there, is $53.60. And we provide an average price because you could have entered that position in multiple trades. Scale in, and you could have scaled out. Okay. For Microsoft, I do see a minus on the left that represents my short position. So to review my numbers here, at one moment, Microsoft was losing $27. Now, one moment it was gaining $98. In real time right now, it's only making $10, around $15. Nayan, if you want to set a trailing stop, and thank you for submitting that question, let's do a trailing stop on a position that we currently hold. Let's go for American Express. We entered American Express at $63.63. Let's set a stop at $62. First, I'm going to set just a regular stop and I'm show you how to do that. First of all, let's go ahead and click on American Express. If I click on American Express from the Trade Manager, AXP, it's automatically pulled into the symbol box. It's a quick way for you to enter the symbol without having to type it in. If I click on Microsoft from the Trade Manager, I see Microsoft right here on the order bar. So if you're looking for shortcuts to entering things on the order bar, I want to go back to American Express. If I want to know how many shares I have, I hover over the position graph bar, and you can see how the position, it says long 100. But I'm not going to enter the position manually. I'm going to use the P button. You see how the P button is now available for me to click on? It's because I do have a position on American Express. Take a look at the quantity right now. It's 500. If I click on the P, that 500 should change to 100 because that's how many shares I own of American Express. I click on the P, and yes, it changes to 100. I'm going to come here to my order type, make sure that the order type is set to stop market. What's my stop price? I enter $62. If American Express goes down to $62, I want to exit that position. So since I'm long, I'm just going to do a sell order. And there it is. Now I do have an active order to sell 100 shares of American Express at $62 stop. One more thing that you can see here on my position graph bar. Now my AXP position graph bar has a little star to the right of it, a little asterisk. That just means that there's an active order associated with my position being monitored and active to exit that position. So that's what the little star means right next to the symbol. Now let's set a trailing stop on my Microsoft position, and I'll show you how you can do that. Again, I click on Microsoft right here from the Trade Manager. Microsoft goes on the screen. I click on the P to make sure that the quantity reflects the shares that I own. My order type is stop market, but we don't have trailing stops here. So stop market is the order type that we have to select, and then we have to come here to the right and click on Advanced. Advanced is available in all asset classes, and the trailing stop functionality works the same on futures and Forex. So keep that in mind. If I come here to futures and I click on Advanced, you have your trailing stop here as well. One thing, see here that I'm in futures and trailing stop is grayed out? It's not because it's disabled for this account. It's just because the order type is the wrong order type. If I change the order type to stop market, then trailing stop comes on. Keep that in mind because I did say earlier that depending on some of your selections on the order bar, some of the features are going to be enabled or disabled. I'm going to come here to equities. I'm going to set my trailing stop. I can set my trailing stop two ways, with a point amount or with a percentage. So if you click on percentage, you specify the percentage here. I'm just going to do a point amount, and I'm going to set my trailing stop very tight, 50 cents. It's going to follow the stock very closely. Once I have my information in there, I just click on the opposite button of my currently held position. I'm short Microsoft, so I have to click on buy to cover. And there it is. Microsoft, buy to cover. My stop price is 53.90, and you can see how the price updates in real time, 53.87, because it's a trailing stop. It's moving with the current market. Terry, I see your question about a stop price. A stop price, for the most part, is used as a stop loss. If you want to use it as a target exit at a profit would be a limit order. It would be sent as a limit order. You can also use stops to enter the market. That's another possibility. So it's not only used for a stop loss, it can also be used as entering the market. All right, let's go ahead and talk about some other functionality here. By the way, if I don't get to your question, don't think that I'm ignoring you. If you want to um, follow up with me on email, feel free to do so. I think I shared my email address with the class yesterday. Let me do it again. That's my email address in case you want to follow up with me on email. Susan, great question. The trailing stop that I sent right here is a day order, which if you plan on holding your position for an extended period of time, you do have to change your duration to GTC to make sure that your stop is in place for several days consecutively. Otherwise, you do have to enter that order on a daily basis if it gets canceled. Theodora, I see your question about scaling out, exiting your position. We're going to take a look at one example when we talk about OCOs and OSOs. All right, let's see. In the Trade Manager, which is the window that I'm looking at here on my TradeStation, you also have access to looking at your positions. One of the tabs is the Positions tab. There we go. So if you don't like to look at your position graphs the way that is displayed here on top, you can come here to the Trade Manager and you see your positions. I have a position for Microsoft and I have a position for American Express. If you want to take a look at your balances, you go to the Balances tab. This shows all the accounts that are in this TradeStation, but I can say, give me my balances for my equities. And you can see how much money you started off with and what your real-time values are. You have your real-time unrealized that you can open up and see what your values are for every position that is open at this moment. You also have some order entry functionality right here from the position graph bar. See, my Microsoft position is making $160 at the moment. Let's say that I wanted to capture that very quickly. Instead of setting up my order up here and lose time by entering all the fields, what I can do is I can right-click on my position graph bar and I can say close this Microsoft position at market right now. Or you can just customize at the TradeStation order bar if you want to send a limit order. But if you want to close quickly, you can always right-click on a position graph bar and say close this Microsoft position, intelligent, and that sends a market order. Again, that order gets reflected here on the Orders tab. My position graph bar is gone. I can see my P&L right here on the status bar. I have a closed P&L of $165. The open PL just reflects any positions that are open at the moment. I'm losing $20 on American Express. Rose, if you want to buy an order, if you want to place an order above the current price, let's say that we are interested in Intel. I'm going to change the symbol here to Intel. Intel, it's trading at 32.75. Let's say that I want to buy Intel, but at a higher price. Let's say that I want to buy it only if it breaks $33. What you do, you send a stop market order. You put in your stop price, which is $33. This is a stop order to enter the market. And then you just click on buy. That sends an order to buy Intel, 500 shares at 33 stop. So when it reaches 33, it'll turn your order into a market order. David, if you wanted to add additional symbols to your position graph bar, again, right-click, go to Format Position Graph Bar, and in your quotes, you enter the symbol that you are looking for. I believe the symbol for Russell 2000 is RUT, is it? There we go. So RUT is included in your position graph bar. Okay. Let's look at another example. In fact, On page 6 of the PDF, we show some functionality which is called account orders and positions in charting. Let me open up a new workspace here and bring up a chart. See, TradeStation will provide you with a view of orders that are pending in your account. I have one order pending. They may have changed the functionality here because this is different than what I was familiar with. I'll have to find out. But that shows me that there's an order pending here to buy Intel when it reaches 33. Let's see. I'm pretty sure it's because of the scale. There we go. You see, if your order is outside the price scale, see my order's right there at $33. If my order is outside the price scale, you just get this little label telling you that there's an order up there pending. So all the orders that you place in your TradeStation account will be automatically displayed on a chart. So you can see your orders in relationship to the market activity. Makes it very, very convenient if you're monitoring, support and resistance lines that are calculated based on historical data. So it makes a lot of sense to have your orders and have them in the context of where the market has been and where it's headed. So it's a great feature in TradeStation. I do have a position on American Express, so let's go ahead and change the symbol to American Express on the chart. And there it is. The one that you see here in yellow tells me that the order is outside, or the actual line is outside of the range. But I can see how there's an exit order. This is my stop. If it reaches $63.63, I want to lose approximately $22. Is that the way that... No, that's not the way. Actually, this is my position. I entered the market at $63.63. It's losing currently $22, but that's just displaying my current position. If I open up my chart, let me see if I can do something here. Let me open, there's a functionality here called background dragging. So let me right click, go to background dragging, and enable. This allows me to squish the price scale a little bit. There we go. And there's where I see my stop. If American Express drops to $62, it'll exit my trade, and it'll generate a loss of 163. So this is background dragging. We will always leave this functionality until the end of my session, or lesson number 4, which is the day after tomorrow. But I did want to show it to you here so you can see how the orders are displayed on the screen. This blue signal that you see here, this is where I entered American Express when the class started. And it does tell me where Bank of America is at right now. And to answer your question, Rose, once you have background dragging turned on, you can also drag the background by just clicking and dragging the background. Yes, that's the functionality is available. On page 8, you have a section on advanced order features. Let's talk a little bit about advanced order features. One of those advanced order features is activation rule. Let me go back here to my first workspace where my trade manager is. And if you look at the advanced section, there's a checkbox for activation rule. This is available for equities, it's available on futures, and it's available on Forex. An activation rule is just putting in a condition to your order. If I put a check on that checkbox and I click on the ellipsis to format it, you're going to see that there's 2 types of activations that you can set. You can set an activation on time. An activation on time actually it's very convenient because your order is held at the TradeStation order execution server until the time that you have specified here is reached. So if you want your order to be ready but not activated until a certain time, you can just check the time activation rule. How is this convenient? Well, sometimes, and I'll explain just one simple example. Let's say that you have open positions in your account, but you don't plan on keeping your positions overnight. And you have some targets and your stops, already set in place for that particular position. Instead of having to monitor your position throughout the day to see if it's exited, you can set an activation rule order that says, well, if at 3:55 or 3:58 p.m., a few minutes before the market closes, if my position is not closed, then I want to send a market order to close my position. And that way, you can sit back and know for sure that TradeStation is monitoring your exit based on time. When the time is reached, it'll activate your order. You can also set an activation on price. In fact, these two rules can be combined. You can combine a time activation with a price activation. A price activation is just based on price movement. You're activating an order based on where a particular symbol has gone. It doesn't have to be the symbol that you're trading. It can be any other symbol. Let's do one example. We do have an active order for Intel. Let's go ahead and choose another symbol here. In fact, let me go to futures and do it on a futures symbol. Okay. Let's use EH16. I believe that's the current month for the S&P E-mini. Let's say that I want to buy one contract. I want to send a market order to buy one contract of the S&P E-mini. I want to do an activation rule. I set my ellipsis. I select my price. But instead of basing this on the actual contract, which I could, but I can just show you different examples and say, let's take a look at SPX.X, which is the index on which the futures is based. So by me typing in $SPX.X and clicking on add, it adds that symbol to the bottom. It provides me with the value right here. And I can say if SPX is trading over 1950, notice that I'm setting a price activation. The S&P, the value is 1937 at this moment. But if it goes up to 1950, I want to buy one contract of the S&P E-mini. If I click OK, take a look. This is a market order with an activation rule. And when I say buy, I get this confirmation window. Remember, the confirmations are asset class specific. I can disable the confirmation if I wanted to do so and click yes. The order goes through. I have the order was received. I don't see it in my trade manager because I have a filter here for all equities and options. I want to see all my orders. And now I see my order here active to buy one contract of the S&P E-mini. But if I scroll to the right-hand side, I can see that under Advanced, it's looking for SPX.X to be greater or equal to 1950 for that order to be activated. That order that I just sent, it's sitting in the TradeStation execution server. So I don't have to have my TradeStation open. I can shut down everything, even turn off my computer, and TradeStation is holding all my active orders on the server. The options order entry, we do have a specific tool which is called the Option Station Pro. All Option Station or options trading, we prefer to do it in Option Station Pro, although you can do options trading right here on the order bar. But we do have a class dedicated exclusively to Option Station Pro. I think it's number 9, lesson number 9, and that's going to talk about placing spreads and options, and we'll go into a lot of detail when it comes to trading options. Okay. There are other settings here. Of course, if you go to the equities tab, we have checkboxes and a lot of settings that are available here for your stock trading. A lot of these options are not even provided by TradeStation. We make them available on the platform, but a lot of this functionality is managed by the ECN or market maker. Let me show you an example. Let's go ahead and change these things around. You can send a limit order with a show only. So you are instructing the ECN, who's going to be handling your order, to show only a specific amount. This is in those markets where a large order could impact the price significantly. You can say, I want to send an order for 10,000 shares, but I'm instructing the ECN to only show 100 at a time. So you're hiding the rest of your order from the display of the market. That's an option available here in advanced, and you can use it for your orders as well. You can also use an option here called discretionary. So let's give you an example. See, Intel is trading at 32.70. That's the last traded price. Let's say that you're willing to pay up to 32.75, but you don't want the market to know. So when you put in a discretionary price and put in a dollar or a 0.05, you're telling the ECN that you're willing to pay an extra 5 cents for this stock, but you don't want it displayed. So what will happen is that your order will be pegged at the best bid until the price is reached, so that if somebody wants to sell it to you at 32.75, you're going to get it. In this case, of course, I used 5 cents, which is way above the ask, so you would have a buyer immediately. But in those markets where you have a bigger spread, you may be inclined on using discretionary, so you can say, hey, I know what the bid is, but I want to, I'm willing to pay a little bit more. So if there's a seller that wants to match my bid, then go for it. Okay, but you want to hide it from the market. So there's a lot of mechanisms here that are provided by ECNs and market makers. If you want to learn more about how to use these advanced features, there's help documentation by going to help and then TradeStation platform help, or you can search the web. I use Google a lot to search for different topics here, because these are some of these features are available on the market itself. I'm not sure if discretionary is available for options. Let's see. I click on advanced. No, you see, if you go to the options tab, discretionary is not available here. In fact, the advanced options are limited to options. I mean, we only have a few available for options. Futures, you have a few advanced settings as well, and Forex as well. The one that has the most is equities, because a lot of these are provided by the ECNs and market makers, and we just make them available on the platform so you can use that functionality as well. Someone in the class asked about scaling in and scaling out of a position. Let me show you that with the OCO and OSO functionality here. There's a button here called OCO and OSO. If you're not familiar with OCO, OCO stands for order cancels order, and OSO stands for order sends order. So you have a collection of orders that are triggered as a group. Let me show you one example. I'm going to come here. I'm going to do an entry. Let's do an entry single order. By the way, when it comes to OCO and OSO, I like using the matrix better than this. The menus here, I feel, my personal opinion, the menus are a little bit, cumbersome, especially to find things that you're looking for. So if you're trading OCOs and OSOs, they are easier to use on matrix, and we'll talk about those tomorrow. But let me show you how you can send an order or a custom order, a complex order here. This is going to be an entry, single order to go long, with an exit bracket that has 2 limits and 1 stop. So somebody asked about how to scale out of a position. We have some templates here that allow you to do that. Let me go ahead and select this one right here. This opens up what's called the order cancels order and order sends order bar. You have the symbols here. I have Intel in there. It just grabbed the symbol that I had here on the order bar. If you wanted to trade a different symbol, let me cancel out of this and change the symbol here. Let's do Disney instead. Just Disney. I go back to OCO, OSO, entry single order. I'm going to select this template as 2 limits and 1 stop. So for this order, I'm going to have 2 targets and 1 stop level. Okay, this is Disney. I'm buying 500, and let's change that to 1,000. Okay, and then I can change these quantities to 500 and 500 for my targets. You can see how these orders are offset from primary. The primary is the one on top. When you buy 1,000 shares of Disney, you can do a limit order, you can do a market order, stop limit, or any of the order types that are here. Let's do a market order so that it gets filled immediately. So now we have 2 targets, offset from primary fill. So once it knows the fill price of my market order, it's going to send a limit order to sell 500 shares 10 cents above my fill price. And it's going to send another limit order 20 cents above my limit price or my fill price. So I'm setting half of my position to exit once it reaches 10 cents and half of my position to exit once it reaches 20 cents. For my stop, you can see the 2 stops here. I'm just going to do 1 single stop for my 1,000. There's an offset here for the stop, offset from primary fill. Notice how the offset is a negative number because it's the number that's below. I'm just going to leave it at 10 cents. In fact, I'm going to turn these stops as trailing stops. So I'm going to click on the very first one, come over here at the bottom, select not activation rule, trailing stop, and set my points to 10. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other stop. So I select the other stop row, trailing stop, and change the amount to 10 cents. Once I have my order set up, which I do. In fact, you don't see the trailing information here because you have to scroll to the right. That's where you see the advanced information. Notice how the stop trigger trails by 10 cents for both sides. Actually, you see how my limit was changed to 500? That's fine. Okay, I guess it's combining this. That's right. Yeah, I changed it to 1,000. I'm not sure why, because 500 plus 500 is 1,000, which is your total position. If I had left it at 1,000, it would see 1,000 here, 1,000 here. That's 2,000, which is more than what I have. Okay, so 500 for each side, 2 targets. Now from here, I have 2 options. I can place the order, I can place and stage the order, or I can just stage the order. We haven't talked about staging, but staging is a way of saving your order for later reuse. This is convenient because sometimes you spend a lot of time, setting up your order and having your specifications and your settings, and it's frustrating to have to go through that every single time you have to send that same order. So staging will actually save a copy of that order so you can reuse it. Let me place and stage. So this is it serves 2 purposes. It sends the order for execution and saves it for later use. Telling me that the total position cost is over $100,000. Do I want to continue? I'm going to say yes. Okay, and I'm filled on Disney. I can see it right here. I can see my orders. In fact, you can see how I got filled 1,000, and then I have my stops and targets already activated. You see my first target is at 101.06, and my second target is at 101.16. The stops, you see how they're updating in real time because they're moving as the market moves. These are trailing stops at exactly the same price. So it's 1 stop for my 1,000 shares of Disney. Where do I see where this order went? Because I do see the order here active, but if you do have a tab for staged orders. So if you wanted to duplicate this order with maybe a different symbol, you go to staged orders, and here's my order for Disney. I can right-click on it and say customize at the TradeStation order bar. So notice how it saves all the settings, and I can just maybe change the symbols and see and reuse it. So if I change the symbol here, let's say that I want to do T for AT&T. So you have to change the symbol on all of them. The limit price offset changed. So let's say that we want to change those as well. And the trailing stop also changed to, well, actually it's still 10 cents. Let's see if that works. Place order. Order filled. And I got filled on AT&T with this setup. So you do have this bracket that allows you to send orders, multiple orders at the same time. As I said earlier, it's a little cumbersome to do it here, the OCO and OSO. So I'm sorry if I confused you a little. Tomorrow we're going to go over the matrix, and you're going to see how it's easier over there, because it also gives you a visual of where the orders are sitting and how they relate to current market activity. And Richard, I see your question about re-entering the symbols. Yes, when you stage an order, it's going to stage it with all the details that you specified for that order, including the symbols and including all the price targets. So it is assumed that when you change or when you want to reuse the same order, you want to change the symbol and change your targets and stops to be appropriate for the symbol you're trading. Um, when we look at the matrix, and that's why I'm saying that when we look at the matrix, it makes it much easier over there, because you can use these templates without having to change the symbol for each one of the orders. But you're right. If you use it this way, you do have to change the symbol and your targets and your stops for that specific symbol. If you instead of using an offset, and I'm looking at Alexander's question. His question is based on, instead of using offsets, let's go back here to staged, right click, and customize at the TradeStation order bar. You see these targets are using offset from primary, but if you want to use a specific price, just go to the drop down and select custom price. So if you already know the price that you want to get filled at, you can just choose custom price and then enter a price manually. Okay. David has a very simple question: how to do a stop on an existing order. Let's go ahead and try to work with that a little bit. I'm going to go here to the symbol box, and I'm going to add, let's do Cisco. This is Cisco. Let's say that we want to buy 100 shares, but we also want to attach a stop to this buy order. So see, my setup here was exited. I got an audible confirmation. If I go here to the OSO, OCO functionality, I'm just going to enter a single order with a stop only. So if you're only interested in just doing an entry with an attached stop, you can do it from here as well. Just a single order long with a stop. So I'm buying 100 shares of Cisco. Let's do a market order. This is my exit. Sell 100 shares of Cisco with a stop market, offset from primary, and I can say negative 0.25, 25 cents below if I wanted to do an offset from my fill price. Once I place that order, my order gets filled, and I have an attached stop to it. So you can do it from there as well. There's other functionality that I wanted to point out, especially information that's available on page 10 and 11. On page 10, we talk about triggers for your stops. I'm going to right-click here, go to Order Entry Preferences, and every asset class has a triggers category. Triggers, 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 and triggers. These triggers work for stops and if touched orders. What does that mean? Well, by default, TradeStation handles stops immediately. So if the TradeStation data server receives a data price or a traded price from the exchange that matches your stop, will activate your order immediately. No hesitation. That is the default. Now sometimes some traders want to have like double confirmation to make sure that that's a valid price. So instead of using just a single trade tick, which is the default, STT, single trade tick, they usually choose a different option. For example, this second one, single trade tick within NBBO. NBBO stands for National Best Bid and Offer. So not only you're looking for the trade to occur at the price that you're looking for, but you also want that price to be within the bid and the ask. It gives you like a double confirmation. Of course, this may delay the execution of your stop because you're looking not only for a trade, you're also looking at the bid and the ask to make sure that it's within those prices. So what this does is just provides you with additional checks on that stop price so that your order may not be triggered by maybe by bad data or just to provide you with additional confirmation. Changing these settings to something else than the default is going to create a little bit of delay on your stop. Sometimes, depending on the market you're trading, could be beneficial. But for the most part, STT is the way you would want to go because that's a single trade tick. As soon as there's a trade on that price that you're looking for, you want your stop to be triggered. David, I see your clarification in your order. If there's an active order and you want to add a stop to an active order, that's not possible because you don't have an existing position. It's an active order. The only way that you can add a stop to an active order is to do it from the beginning, where you have an attached stop to it. So stops can only be sent on open positions because it's an exit order. If you try to send an exit order on something that you don't own, that order will be rejected. So if you already have an active order to enter and you want to attach a stop, I guess the only way to do that is to actually cancel your entry order and then set it as a attached order, something that is being triggered together. Okay. We have run out of time here on this class. If I didn't get to your question and I didn't answer you, please send me an email and I'll follow up with you over email. Hopefully I answered most of your questions. We have covered a lot of information here on this class. As I said earlier in class, we are going to talk about the matrix tomorrow and chart trading and all the other order entry tools that are available for you to place orders. So if OCO and OSO functionality was a little bit confusing to you today, tomorrow we'll refresh that knowledge by using OCOs and OSOs on the matrix. So don't feel that 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 we're not going to talk about it anymore. We'll cover it tomorrow extensively. Okay? Remember we have lesson number 3 tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. But to conclude this event, I just want to say that it was a great pleasure again. And please make sure to register for lesson number 3 tomorrow. The room will stay open for the next couple of minutes just to allow you to submit any final questions or comments. But for me and everyone here at TradeStation, thank you very much for your business. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.